Okay, hello everybody. This is Sharonda, and this is my podcast as well as my YouTube channel, Spiritual Sense. Today is Thursday, which is September the 22nd, and in this podcast, I go over topics in regards to the paranormal, occult, and supernatural. It is an open social discussion on those topics. If you have any questions, comments, or suggestions, or a topic or a story for a future show, you are more than welcome to comment in the comment section, and I will present it on a future show. Okay. So today's topic is in regards to spirit-related job fields. This is the third time I'm recording in regards to um, this particular topic. I think, in essence, it's kind of hard to explain sometimes. I have it all in here, and then when it comes out, it may be perceived in a different manner. So do bear with me as I gain more insight to give clarity about what I am talking about. So in this podcast as well as YouTube channel, I go over topics in regards to um, hauntings, curses, out of body experiences, soul travel, angels, demons, spirit guides. I give my account on UFOs and what I feel UFOs are. I touch bases on pagan belief systems such as Scientology, Wiccan, witchcraft, voodoo, and so it is for entertainment purposes. Okay. Now, in me doing the topic in regards to job related, spirit related job fields, I feel as though, based on the spirit, as we will refer to it as personality or traits or characteristics, but ultimately based on the spirit. I think, in essence, we may desire for certain jobs or certain things in life, but by way of the heart or the spirit, you will be pulled to a certain job based on the spirit. Oftentimes, you will find familiar spirits. Oftentimes, it may seem as though, if I go over here, this person is in relation to that person I seen over there, or something that happened over here is in relation to something that happened 20 years ago. And oftentimes you have to ask yourself, okay, if somebody pulling my leg, is this, because I know we are all God and as such, and we are spiritually based. But when there are certain things that happen that, I'm gonna keep this on the inside. And then you'll begin to wonder, is this truly quote God or is this something else? And in my conquest, I think this is God's way of giving you enlightenment by way of when there's so much complexity and so much things that's going on in terms of a job or duties that are assigned to us in the job that we are in. Well, who doesn't have the duties? Who doesn't have, someone such as myself who can sit down and think and do such things such as this? That's when you begin to wonder, is it coming from apart from what I am dealing with now? Like, is it being handled by way of on a governmental level, or is it family, or is it my church goers, or is it something I did or I said or didn't do or say, and it will bring, it will bring you mad to where you'll begin to question yourself, begin to doubt yourself, you become depressed. What is this? What is this that I am experiencing? What is this that I am dealing with? What is this? So I'm gonna give you an understanding. I have wanted to be anything from a psychologist down to a nail technician. And in essence, if you keep certain things to yourself and not speak those desires out, keep certain things to yourself, it will become apparent to you when this person is of your same spirit and like-mindedness. So that's what it means when it mentions, when I mention in reference to spirit-related job fields. Am I working this job, or am I in this career, or am I in this field because of desire? Or is it something that was chosen for me? So you will begin to see that oftentimes familiar spirits are very, very important. And many a times you are a walking message. And when it all comes into the forefront, once you have reached a certain threshold in life, not necessarily age, because wisdom comes over time, but some people can get it just like this, or some people may not get it at all. That's what I'm getting at. So, is this something that was chosen for me, or did I actually have a choice in this situation? I'll give you an example as to what I'm talking about. This is a very sensitive subject, and I don't want to um, take away from the horror and things of that sort in terms of abuse of any type. But in situations where, this is what I began to question in my own self, because, at one point in time, I did want it to be a counselor or a social worker. And oftentimes I can find myself tapping into the sensibility of such individuals. It makes me question and wonder, okay, in terms of someone who was paired, like when there's, if I am spiritually led to certain jobs or perhaps job field, could the correlation work the same in terms of relationships, the pairing of the two? Like you may feel as though you have the choice in the relationship that you chose, but it was the luck of the draw. Meaning you was put in a certain region or location, and the probability of you picking this da 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 was highly likely. So in essence, is that essentially what that is in terms of mating, like for certain features, certain characteristics, in terms of treatment in regards to abuse and relationships and things of the sort. And my mind begins to wonder. When things, and hear me out. I don't want no one to feel like I am trying to cause any strife or adversary towards them. But when I feel as though someone does things to go along, to get along, I begin to wonder, will this person go against the grain in terms of harm to another individual? Or is this just a person who has been desensitized and been spiritually branded to where I'm in the mode and this is what you do and you don't do no different from the contrary of what's popular? Catch my drift? So this is my intellect and this is my thinking in terms of that. Like, do we just go along to get along because we don't want to be, we don't want to bring attention to ourselves, because oftentimes we may be shy or may have some, hiccups about aesthetics or superficiality? Or, if this is, am I supposed to critical think and say to the contrary? So basically, that's my synopsis on my take on spirit related job fields. I do feel as though we are all spiritual based. I mentioned that before. That we are all spiritual based, whether it be favorable, unfavorable, positive, or negative. And basically, the heart is being unleashed and unveiled. And I think someone such as myself, and I do feel as though this reading, not necessarily reading, but this episode, speaking on spirit related job feels is to target those individuals who are such as myself, who may consider yourself to be a spirit advisor, gypsy, intuitive, spiritualist, or anything of the sort indulging into occultism, supernatural, and paranormal. What is this that I am experiencing? Why is it that every time I da 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 is da 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 da? Why everything can't seem to fit in place for me for the better? Why it always seems that I get pushed back about one thing versus the next? Why is that? I see Dada 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 doing this, and they don't, they don't give them no problems. But when I come up and I get doing just as good or even better, what is the point? And this is where you begin to understand that you are on the outside looking in. This is a part of an illusion. I receive an inclination in my spirit that the spirits that was here in these lands some time ago, I mean the unseen, as well as the celestials. This is a learning experience for them as well as for us. And we are simply the thoughts of those individuals. And when there's need for innovation or need for updating or change, following angels will fall upon and that will pursue. And no, oftentimes you would notice it they would get in a trance-like state as such. I understand it. I know because we are contained to this time and existence in this time and space, and it takes moolah in order to sustain. So I think oftentimes you find yourself in a situation where you're like, how am I going to maintain? Because I realize that we have to follow the laws in terms of this reality and this existence, this real life existence. However, my thought process or my being or my calling is apart from it. However, how am I able to survive in this time, space, and existence? If I call myself a this, if I call myself a that, because me continuing in this reality does not work for me, it's not favorable for me. So how do I maintain in a reality that is apart from my own? You hear people say things, cliche things such as uh stand for something, don't fall for anything. But when you begin to do these things, watch and see how those spirits come against you to put you out of a place. So how am I able to maintain? They tell you, God, uh, don't pay attention to superficiality and aesthetics, and beauty is in the eye of the beholder, is what it mentions. So if I remain somebody that's trying to be natural and pure and real, and I get all this pushback for not being in a relationship or being unmarried or not having children. So it's like they say one thing and turn around and say something else. Say one thing and turn around and say something else. Anything besides relenting and surrendering and allowing the enemy to defeat and walk all over me. So how do you handle a situation such as that? And oftentimes you'll find yourself bottled in confusion, a whole bunch of misunderstanding, chaos as such. What do you do in times such as that? How do I handle? I need to eat. I have life within me and I want to sustain life. And I feel like there's a lot more in life in me and a lot more on this life experience in this journey for me. However, the things that surround me seems to be falling apart and unfavorable. So how do I maintain and sustain to keep longevity? And what are you doing versus what you're doing and that. So in other words, this is in essence support, lack of support, things of that sort. How do you find support when no one is of your like-mindedness? No one is in agreement with how you see things and how you view things. And I don't want to do what is typical or standard or kosher. How do you maintain in cases such as that? Trust and believer. I know what that feels like, and I know what that is. In terms of being a spirit related, a spiritualist or someone that is into the supernatural, occult, or things of that sort, and oftentimes you may find these type of individuals that may gravitate to church, several churches, cults, finding of identity and self-identity, and how do I sustain and maintain to eat and survive? So what do I do? And how are they doing it? I'll tell you honestly and truly. I think in essence, what is going on with your situation is when there's many others who are in this sensibility. This is called jealousy, baby. Where the doors are shut all around you. That means when I say jealousy, that means when a person has already deemed you to be da 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 da, when they have a preconceived reputation in reference to how you should be and not should be, they're gonna always have pushback. You're supposed to be the Cinderella. That's the analogy that has been put in their psyche. And oftentimes you'll find, oddly enough, you're going to see a lot of that being perpetuated by people that look just as such as you. And once the eyes has been conditioned to open and see, they look like your family, but they have taken on the impression of someone else. And you're gonna feel not only will you know, but you're gonna feel what alienation feels like. Alienation. What does it mean to be alienated? Let me stop my music right now. But see, people say you making more out of a situation than what it is. As I mentioned about doomsday, we all could be in our own personal doomsday, our own end of days. What exactly is this? If you go back and look at my spiritual renewing podcast, that's to give you inclination and insight and some explanation as to what that is. So, what is alienation? Alienation defined. What does that mean? You're going to find out the life that you've been seeing, once it all come into fruition or come into focus for you, you're going to find out that it was in part. Everybody was in part, baby. Ain't got nothing to do with what you didn't do. You are a threat simply because you're there. And you're going to realize what difference in dialects and difference in languages come about, because when you begin to speak to people, they're not going to understand nothing that you are talking about. A person owing allegiance to a country, that is not what I'm getting at. I'm talking about alienation. Let's go to alienation. What is the meaning of alienation? It's in a sensibility, is similar to like culture shock, where you feel alienated. Let me, because I'm putting a space in between here. But we're going to proceed. Alienation. And that's Alienation. I'm not talking about no migrants. I'm not talking about, well, I am speaking about aliens in terms of what we see in terms of UFOs and things of that sort. That's a covert way of letting you know when something is foreign. Not talking about migrants per se. I'm talking about the unknown. They give you inclination by way of enlightenment and wisdom. The state or experience of being isolated from a group or an activity to which one should belong or in which one should be involved. Loss or lack of sympathy, estrangement. A condition of workers in a capitalistic economy resulting from a lack of identity with the products of their labor and a sense of being controlled or exploited. That means you can't find your common ground. You are in a what? You are in a state of pulling apart where you can't relate. You speak to people that look at you like you trash in the street, gutter trash, alley cat. So trust and believe it. I know I understand exactly what that feels like. People from the outside looking in may say, there you go. Everything, every time you turn around, everything got to be over the top. Or of course, when you ain't got to deal with it, of course it's gonna seem that that's the way it is but when the shoe was on the other foot, that means when I take off these shoes and you get to walk in these shoes, let's see you talk the same talk. Let's see you do the same thing I'm doing in my position. Let's trade places and let's see if you have joy and peace and harmony when you have at the brink of being put out or lights cut off or no food in the house and things of that sort. So this is a wake up call. I think in regards to spirit related job fields, I begin to take on impressions of individuals and people, and that lets me know that this is something that I need to portray out. So don't take offense to it at all, because I'm not crazy. I'm explaining to you what happened to celebrities. I'm letting you know what happens to comedians, and a comedian is a sensibility. It is discernment. And many people think I'm putting on. I am not putting on. This is called discernment. This is how I know I have been touched by what someone else of a higher, bigger scale. That's what that is. This is not no act, and I'm not an actor at all. I'm not an actress. I can be sarcastic, and you will begin to see when you are sarcastic and you have a quote sense of humor in sensitive matters, things will be put in such. You will be in par. You will be in par. This is discernment. Getting back to spirit related job fields, you will begin to see that aliens are a state of mind. This is God giving you inclination about something that you have not fathomed, gave much thought to, or even know. It's a covert way of enlightening you about the sensibility of what is transpiring within the world. Ain't it simple? Something lets me know NASA. Something said tells me that you are a highly thinking individual. Because of aesthetics, people don't respect that. Simple as that. Okay? So the focus on this particular show episode was on what? Spirit related job fields, but me being empathetic and an empath, I am able to tap into the spirits of people who are in this time and space, as well as futuristic and conjuring from the past. And I think this and this is if you pay attention to the entertainment industry, music industry, we all spirit channel, but conjuring is a gift. That's you will find that a lot oftentimes again. And this is no ploy to get nobody to like me and all this. I've known this since I was a child because I study. I'm on the outside looking in, so I ask God, what is this going on? And He would present it to me, and I would see that's what that is. Okay. So I am going to conclude this episode on spiritual sense, speaking about spirit related job fields. If you have any questions, comments, or suggestions, or if you have a topic that you would like me to present for a future show, you are more than welcome to comment below. Until then, you have a safe and wonderful day. Good day.